Newcastle United have ended 2025 the way they started it, with a win away from home. However, the 3-1 scoreline doesn't tell the entire story, as after taking a 2-0 lead in the 7th minute, we reverted to type and almost gave up another lead as Burnley started to gain confidence, pulled one back and then took control and predominantly dominated the second half before a late Christmas present from our ex-goalkeeper Slovakian Martin Dúbravka gifted us all 3 points after a mix-up. So in today's video, I want to go through what went so well for us to start the game so strongly, what went wrong to nearly gift up another lead, and also I want to reflect on what's been a memorable 2025 as Newcastle United finally ended their domestic trophy drought of 70 years. So let's get underway. Good morning everyone, welcome back to the Magnificent Mags channel. Look at that beautiful skyline. You join me from Wallsend. It's beautiful, but it is a bit frosty. You'd probably see that there on the ground. But yes, I wanted to come out and give my post-match reaction this morning before we go out for the inevitable New Year's Eve drinks this afternoon. We're doing it a bit different this year. We're going to South Shields. We're getting the ferry over. We're going to have a few drinks over there, then catch the last ferry back and finish the North Shields and maybe Tynemouth. We'll see how it goes. So yes, I hope you're all well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment and subscribe to continue supporting the channel. So yeah, Newcastle United, for only the second time out of 10 games this season, have won a game away from home in the Premier League. But like I said at the outset of this video, it wasn't pretty after the 7th minute. We nearly gave up another lead because we've dropped more points from winning positions than any other team in the league this season. Joint with Brentford and Chelsea on 13. We've dropped 6 points away from home from winning positions this season. And that's what's frustrating about us, because Eddie Howe made 4 changes from the team that lost at Old Trafford. Now, unlike Old Trafford where I was at, I wasn't at Turf Moor last night. We're just watching it at a friend's. But before we could even crack open the first beer, yes, Newcastle United took the lead, and Anthony Gordon, he turned Kyle Walker inside out, and then he put in a good cross, and Joe Linton, one of those 4 changes, got on the end of it with a nice flick past Martin Dúbravka to make it 1-0. And then Newcastle looked like the team of old, because they then pushed and tried to go for a second. They were on the front foot, because when Newcastle at their best, when they've got verticality, when they've got pace, when they've got aggression. And lo and behold, we went and got a second goal. Again, Anthony Gordon was involved and Joe Linton. They've done fantastic pressing. Gordon then tried to do a 1-2 with Barnes. It didn't initially come off, but it came to Barnes nonetheless. Barnes had a shot. Martin Dúbravka saved. Bruno came in, and obviously it went to a lengthy VAR check to see if there was a foul. At the time when it first happened, I thought there was a foul, because he did come into the back of Laurent, but in the end, VAR agreed with us, because when I seen it on a second watch, when the replays came on again, they judged that he hadn't pushed Laurent. So yeah, it fell to Wissa, and what do good strikers do, like Yoane Wissa? He's in the right place at the right time. He's in the 6-yard box. He's got that anticipation, what we've been missing, and he's there. And then his first effort, it was stopped on the line, but he was there to poke it over, and then it was 2-0. And that's what I mean. That's not a slight on Nick Voltemade, because he's done admirably since he come in. Because let's be honest, since we signed him, he's never going to be a striker who was meant to slot straight in from the beginning. Yoane Wissa was the plan, the evolution from selling Alexander Isak. Wissa was meant to slot straight in because he's got that directness, he's got that pace, he can run in behind, he can run the channels, and he also can cause havoc and unlock stubborn defences who sit in a low block. And that's what he was doing last night. We missed that running in behind, and I've got to praise him on the whole, because he had a couple other chances. And look, I'd rather him be in those positions and miss the chances, like his header in the first half when he peeled to the back post. Yes, he probably should have got it on target, but it's encouraging after so long out with his injury that he was there in the first place. And then also you go to his other chance where he was at the far post and he fired one over. But like I said, I'd be more worried if he wasn't getting in those positions. And I want to come back again to Nick Voltemade. He's been doing his best, but even the German press have said this a lot. Voltemade is like a number 10. And yeah, he wouldn't have been in that position like Yoane Wissa was last night. That's why he was there. That's why we got the second goal. And as I said, he was unlucky not to get his second and his third. But it was encouraging. And then you thought from then on, it's 2-0. Can we be Newcastle United of old? Because what do Newcastle teams in the past, and what do all good teams do? when they've got a second, they don't sit in the laurels, don't sit in the backside. They go on, they push for a third, they push for a fourth, they kill the game. And against a team like Burnley, because ahead of last night, they hadn't won in 9, they had lost 7 in a row, then drew the last 2. So that's now 8 defeats from 10. But a team who are low on confidence, the home crowd could turn. Manager maybe a bit unsure of himself. He might stay till the end of the season. Who knows? Scott Parker obviously is our former captain. But yeah, you just think you've got to take advantage of a team who are brittle, and that's what Burnley are. That's why they're down there. That's why they're 19th. But Newcastle, frustratingly, they didn't take control like they've done so many times this season. That's why we've dropped 6 points away from home from winning positions, 13 overall. And again, it creeped back in. You could see it after the second goal was started to ease off. And for some reason, despite being a team full of quality that we are, we're like rabbits in headlights. I don't know why we didn't push on. And then again, that gives Burnley encouragement. Nick Pope made a good save. I've got to say as well, the 3 best players I felt from last night were Nick Pope, Lewis Hall, and also Joe Linton. Nick Pope made a good save, but then we didn't heed the warnings, and Laurent pulled one back. We didn't deal with a long throw. That came into the area. And then Lewis Hall, he was in an aerial battle with Breuer, didn't win that. Gordon lost Laurent at the far post, and Laurent was there. And I've got to say, it was a good volley. Nick Pope had no chance. But you know what? Despite the lack of control in midfield, because again, Tonali was poor. I don't know what's happened to Sandro Tonali. He's put in so many world-class performances. And yes, he had the energy, and he was covering well last night. But again, he's not influencing the game in an offensive sense. Like, he went missing yet again. And he's meant to be one of the 2 players controlling the game. And look, Bruno got the finish at the end, but Bruno, I'm not saying Bruno had his best game. Even he was sloppy in possession, give it away a lot. But Bruno at the minute is the only one who's basically trying to get on the ball and make things happen. And I feel for Bruno. He must be so frustrated that Tonali's not supporting him. And look, I've said Joe Linton was one of my best 3 players last night. He was. And it's not in a technical sense, because you're not going to have him get on the ball and create anything. He's there to smash everything up, wind people up, hence why he got the yellow card against Kyle Walker. And he was lucky not to get the second yellow against Breuer in the second half, which was a tactical foul. But yeah, if Joe Linton's aggressiveness hadn't been in midfield last night, I question whether we might have went on and won that game. So he was kind of doing the job of 2 men, because Bruno was trying, but he was doing his own job alongside Tonali's. But yeah, again, why do we lose control? Why do we allow teams back into it? Because Burnley then had other opportunities. Chowner had a shot. Fabian Schär had to be back on the line for Marcus Edwards' shot to clear it. But I don't even think Fabian Schär had a good game. Fabian Schär, he can still carry the ball forward, but some of his passes, his trademark crossfield passes, don't come off as much anymore. Even though when he played at the Gordon, it kind of led to the first goal. But I don't think he's strong enough in the air. He doesn't win a single thing like a Botman might or a Malik Chow. But I felt Malik Chow was reasonably solid. He dealt with Breuer better than Fabian Schär did. But like I said, Lewis Hall gave the ball away sometimes, was losing a few one-on-one duels defensively, but he offered with so much yet again the way he can carry the ball going forward. Because what was he at Chelsea before he came here? He was a winger, but then Chelsea converted him into a full-back. So you can see that he can play midfield. It might be a position for future if we get Trippier at right back and Tino at left back, who knows? But yeah, and Lewis Miley, I felt Lewis Miley wasn't too bad. He didn't offer too much going forward, but he was strong defensively. And he always looked calm and composed on the ball. But it was the midfield that let us down. We didn't have any control, and letting a team who were 19th and missing some key players, a couple at AFCON, some injured. Like it was fortunate that Esteve, I feel he's a good player for them, but it's fortunate that Esteve went off early with an injury. But again, the midfield's worrying us. Because yeah, we've won in the end, but it doesn't mask the issues. And I'm not wanting to be negative here. Look, I'm buzzing. Everyone's buzzing when you've won. I'm in a good mood today. I'm going to enjoy New Year's Eve today. And And then Manly, despite having 9 games in January, 6 of those at home, bar 3 days in the middle of the month before Wolves when I go to the Lake District to break up the boredom this month. The boredom, should I say, of this month. I'm not drinking for 95% of the month, so yeah, today is one last blowout. But it'll be much better now because Newcastle United won yesterday. But like I said, it's only 6 wins from 19 this season, this calendar year, sorry, away from home. That's only 2 wins from 10. And yes, we had 20 chances overall last night, 14 in the first half, the most of any game this season, which is massively encouraging. But again, we nearly gave up another lead. That's now 12 games in all competition since a clean sheet and 12 consecutive Premier League games. So it is worrying. We can't keep a clean sheet for love nor money. And if you concede at one end, and then if you're struggling at the other, that's only the second time this season away from home we've scored 3 or more, the other one being at Everton at the end of October. So yes, a win's good. And Eddie Howe can talk it up. Look, it'll be good psychologically. Now we've got 4 home games going into the new year. That's good, but it doesn't mask the issues. And like I said, they had the chances. Chowner had a couple of chances. As I said, Edwards had the chance cleared off the line. You had another chance for Laurent. So Burnley had the chances. Nick Pope, he tipped one over and then he stood strong, stood tall for one of their shots. And you know what, like I said, I'll praise Nick Pope a lot. He's one of the reasons why we won last night. I said Lewis Hall, the way he got forward to get into those positions. Then you had Joe Linton for his aggressiveness. He had the bite in midfield that was required because the rest of them were a little bit meek, especially Tonali. And then Nick Pope, we're called, as I've said in previous videos, that we wanted to see Ramsdale at a point. And then Nick Pope, after Marseille, obviously done his groin, came out the team. Then he had illness, but it was the right call bringing him back in last night because, like when I was at Old Trafford the other night, well, Dorgu connected with it well. I've watched it back a few times. I feel Nick Pope might have got there. And yes, Pope's made errors, like when he should have stayed in the middle of his goal at Brentford for their equaliser. And then obviously Paquetá's shot at West Ham when we were down there, he could have had stronger hands, but he is the better goalkeeper now. I've seen both of them. And that, you can change your opinion. I want to see Ramsdale in, but you've got to judge 2 keepers when you see them in the flesh. I've seen them both. Nick Pope's a better goalkeeper, despite the distribution of Ramsdale being superior. So yeah, and then it came to the end. Newcastle did get a little bit of a foothold. Gordon blazed one over, Murphy blazed one over, had Malik Chow, he was unlucky to see his header cleared off the line, so we did get a little bit of a foothold, maybe 73, 74 minutes in. But again, Howe didn't make any substitutions till around the 72nd minute. I felt we needed fresh legs. It's good that Wissa got 80 minutes in the tank, but you just felt we needed fresh legs, fresh blood, fresh energy into the team, which we didn't have up until that point. I feel that gave Burnley a lot more confidence, because if we'd went 3-0 up, let's admit it, that game was done. That crowd would have turned. The boo Parker at the end because they lost anyway, but I just don't understand why we can't get the control against these teams and push on and try and win and make it a more handsome scoreline. But look, it came gift wrapped at the end. Martin Dúbravka, a keeper who served us so well over so many years. Yeah, Dúbravka gave Worth all 3 points gift wrapped, a late Christmas present with his old club and teammates at the end there. He came out his box. The defender was going to leave it for him. He hesitated, came out. It kind of bobbled between the two of them. Then it came free to Bruno about 30 yards out. Bruno gleefully accepted the invitation and gift and just tapped it into the empty net for 3-1. So yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. And it was more relief at the end than we deserved that. Because look, despite Burnley being 19th in a team we should be putting to the sword, if Burnley had got something, even if they'd been 2-2 at the end of the first half, or got something at the end of that game before the error from Dúbravka, you couldn't sit there and say, oh, they didn't deserve it. Again, it's another worrying performance from Newcastle, with a scoreline slightly glossing over what was a pretty laboursome, turgid, frustrating display. That second half was not an easy watch. So yeah, thank you to Martin Dúbravka. That's why the away end belted out at the end. He's one of our own, Martin Dúbravka. He's one of our own. I can understand that. Obviously, it's sarcasm because Burnley could have easily got something. But it lifts you up to 10th. Like I said, we've got 6 of our next 7 games at home. We are 5 points off Chelsea. We are 6 points off Liverpool, albeit Liverpool have got a game in hand to play on New Year's Day. So can we finally, because I don't want to say, I've said this so many times, I've heard this all season, that's a turning point, that can be a platform to start building. But when New Year's resolution has to be Newcastle United need to rediscover that form, that nastiness, that pace, that aggressiveness, the verticality, the runs in behind. Now we've got two different profiles in Voldemort and Wissa, but yeah, we need to find and rediscover what we made was so nasty to begin with. Look, I know we can't press every game, and we're sort of, instead of being in a high press, we drop more, I think, at the moment into a mid-block. And you've got to conserve legs. And Eddie Howe's probably trying to turn us to a more possession-based team. But when you haven't got a number 10 to unlock teams, then I don't think that'll work as well. So look, we're 4-3-3 works when we've got Johan Wissa in there. But with all the games coming up, you've got to rotate. But yeah, look, a win's a win. We're up to 10th. We're finally in the top half again. We're still in all competitions, but it's a big month coming up. Like I said, we've got to win with home games. If we can, they will be tough because we've got Crystal Palace on Sunday. Then we have Leeds after that in midweek. Then we'll have Bournemouth as our FA Cup campaign starts. They're always our kryptonite. Can we finally beat them because they're below in the table? And then we'll have Manchester City in the first leg. Then we'll go to Wolves. And then I believe it's PSV, Aston Villa, and then it's PSG and Anfield. So yes, it's a mouth-watering month coming up with so many games. But I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Can we take a good league going to the Etihad? And we haven't won that since 2014. I think it was Sissoko and Rolando Aarons in 2014 were sole victory at the Etihad in the League Cup. So you could take encouragement from that. And City have Liverpool not that long after us, so there could be rotation there. We'll wait and see. But look, yeah, we've won. It's a tough month coming up across 4 different competitions, but the plus point you probably can't take is we've got home advantage. And Johan Wissa, that was his first start and he scored. And like his start when he played against Fulham, he also scored in that too. So yeah, you can take some plus points from it. But again, like I said, we're away record. It's still concerning. The fact that not many players turned up, because you can look at players who didn't turn up there. Anthony Gordon, yes, he got the assist for the opener. He pressed for the second when he done the 1-2. Harvey Barnes that led to Wissa's goal. But him and Barnes, they pretty much went missing. Barnes was on the right. He's not a right winger. I don't feel that's fair on him. But Murphy, other than his crossing, hasn't done too much. Alanga was out, but he has failed to impress since his £55 million move. But yeah, Gordon, again, he starts so well, but then, other than his chance that he blazed over, sorry, I don't want to be run over here, then he didn't do much else. He went missing the second half. I know I said Wissa was quiet second half, but you can forgive that with the time he's had out. But Gordon, wanting to be this England international, if he's not going to turn up in games, then he's not going to play for England. He's too inconsistent. He's infuriating because you know the talent's there. I know some people have said get rid, but it would depend, would Liverpool come back in with a bid? Is there any other club who will? He needs to get his head right. Talks about being this mentality monster, but he doesn't show it. Like I said, Harvey Barnes was unlucky to be on the right, so I don't want to criticise him too much because he's more of a left winger. And yeah, he didn't impact the game too much. Yeah, he was involved with his shot that led to Wissa's goal, but he didn't do too much. But like I said, I think I've covered most of the team now. The subs came on, other than Murphy's chance over the bar. Him, Ramsey, Willock, Voldemort didn't really make too much of an impact on the game. So, but look, I'm not wanting to be negative. I'm going to be glass half full. Newcastle United, hello, Newcastle United have got the win that they wanted. We've won at Burnley despite them being a poor team, and we made a right meal of winning that. And we needed it, gift wrap with a bow on top from Dúbravka at the end. But yeah, we've won. And we can look ahead to Crystal Palace with some confidence because they are struggling a bit themselves at the moment. It's been some 2025, and you know what, before I wrap up, my mates, I've got my own montage to share in the coming days, but we'll put some of our videos and photos together over following Newcastle United over the course of this year. And obviously the best part of it, despite what's been a bit of a struggle in the second half of 2025, especially with our away form, and I know there's been a lot of anger on social media and people saying, oh, Eddie Howe's not the right man for us. He is. We had this debate after Man U in the hotel on Boxing Day night. Someone said Eddie Howe out, but we went, who are you going to get who are you going to get, who's going to replace him? The board's still giving their support. So, and I think the majority of the fan base still giving him their support, because if you want a top manager who's in a job, then you have to pay to get rid of Howney's backroom team, and then you have to pay to buy them out of a contract, and then whatever wages they want. That all goes towards PSR. And then we've got the January window coming up. I know people are saying, and I might be in agreement, him and his nephew shouldn't really be on transfers. And that mightn't be the case now. We've obviously got Ross Wilson in, but we'll wait and see. I'm not expecting much movement in the window, even though I do still feel we need to strengthen a couple of positions. But anyone calling for Eddie Howe to go out, look, you can criticise him. He deserves the criticism that's come his way. So like late substitutions, like for like substitutions, not changing his formation to adapt, to try and find ways to win a game. But you can also recognise he is still the right man for us. And for me, unless we suddenly go out all competitions and drop into a relegation battle, that's got to be unlikely, then I think he's got the rest of this season, and then we'll review it from there, because it has been disappointing. But at the same time, you can back the manager, but you can also constructively criticise. The two aren't mutually exclusive. You can say one, but while still be supporting the manager and the other. But yeah, all that matters is Newcastle United have got the win. We can review where we went wrong yesterday and hopefully take that into Palace and get a good win. But yes, like I said, what a memorable 2025 it's been. We've finally ended our trophy drought at Wembley, win the Carabao Cup, qualifying for the Champions League yet again. And like I said, yeah, we're only 5 points off 5th, but we've now got to start putting a consistent run of games together. So it's not all that bad, despite the frustrations, and I've had many of them and many complaints this year. But look, we've seen our team win a trophy at Wembley. Some people, so many fans who followed us up and down the country, home and away for years, never saw that in their lifetime. So that's for all those fans who aren't with us, all those fans who are still with the club. And who knows? And that's Manchester City, but who's to say we can't beat them over 2 legs? I didn't think we'd beat Arsenal home and away last season, but we did. And then we beat Liverpool, the champions elect at Wembley. So, look, stranger things have happened. And yeah, who's to say that we can't beat Man City? And then if we beat Bournemouth, we're in the 4th round of the FA Cup, and then we've got 2 Champions League games still to look forward to before the month's out. And if we're in the playoffs, then we'll see, that'll be excitement, whoever will get in the draw. Who knows, we could still have an outside chance of getting top 8. I'm trying to be positive here, despite what's been a frustrating second half of 2025. So yeah, it's been absolutely memorable. I've been all over to the likes of the Emirates, Old Trafford, the London Stadium, Wembley, Germany at the start of this month. I will admit, obviously, it's been costly. I've spent a lot. My social battery is all but drained. I've got one last dig deep today for New Year's Eve drinks. I'm looking forward to that with the lads. And then, yeah, I'm just going to reset, and it's going to just be a nice quiet start to 2025 with the leagues in between. Hopefully Newcastle United do well. And I've just bought myself a PS5 as well, so I'm going to enjoy that and spend a lot less money, hopefully. But let's hope we do get back to Wembley. That's one ticket I wouldn't mind paying for again. But yeah, like I said, the lads have put together a little video of all our best bits of 2025. There's photos in there of me asleep, me made Jimmy drunk. But yeah, it's been excellent. It's been emotional. It's been fantastic. But it's been the best year of supporting Newcastle United in all my life. And I've seen Bobby Robson's team, and I've seen the entertainers under Kevin Keegan the first time around, is what I mean. So yeah, honestly, what a year this has been. So I'm going to post that video separately. Look out for that in the coming days. But to wrap up the video, once again, thank you so much to all my subscribers, everyone who's commented, interacted, liked, comment and subscribed across all my socials, not just this YouTube channel. You all mean the world to us. Thank you so much. I hope to continue growing the channel. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed and you have enjoyed the video, please do like and please do subscribe to help me out further. But I just want to say, stay safe everyone. Whatever you're doing, enjoy your New Year's Eve, and I hope you all have a fantastic and prosperous 2026. And I will post my video in the coming days, as I said, of the montage of 2025, and I will see you after our game against Crystal Palace on Sunday. And I promise this time I'm going to record my post-match reaction outside of St James's Park. So for now, I'll give you one last shot of that sun. Beautiful in Wallsend today. Take care everyone. Enjoy New Year's Eve. Bye bye.